Without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Bill Manus with Syndeo to be our first presenter. So let's give him a hand.
Good morning. Can everybody hear me? Good. I'm going to start with the preface that it's really unusual. I've been to 3 of these so far, and I've seen a lot of great ideas and a lot of great entrepreneurial spirit in this room. And one of the first feedback I got from somebody that heard that we were presenting today is, what's a 13-year-old company doing presenting about an entrepreneurial idea? Well, I think if you'll give me 5 minutes, or 6 as the case may be, you'll find out why that's true. First of all, thank you all for being here. This is a wonderful organization. It is great for entrepreneurs to come together to learn. I don't know about you guys, but I don't normally wear a suit coat, but I figured I need to dress up a little. But when you put this much energy in a room, if you start to see sweat trickling down my nose, you'll know that that energy is transferred to me. It's very difficult for me to explain everything that we do and how we do it, but the best way to explain it and how it's really pertinent to entrepreneurs is to talk in the form of a story. And I love to tell stories. Usually I can't repeat them in public, but nonetheless, we're going to talk about your business as a car. And Bob here driving his car is the entrepreneur. And as a business that is a car, the thing that drives the car is the engine. That's your products, your services, your ideas, whatever it is that you're going to take to the marketplace to further your cause of hopefully making a profit and in enhancing people's lives with your products and services. And interestingly, the engine of the car is the most important piece because it will get you there, hopefully faster as you get better and more fine-tuned. But it's really important that your base of your business be secure. And the base of every car is the wheels and the tires. And let's face it, no matter how strong your engine is, you won't go very far very fast if all of your tires are flat. So we're going to talk about the wheels of a tire. Now, Bob here is in the wheel at this point, and you've got 4 different wheels, and they each represent a portion of the business that's the base of your business. The first piece, the first wheel, is your wheel of finance and accounting. And that's basically your financial base, your bankers, your accountants, your financiers, your capitalists. You must have, as every entrepreneur knows, you must have a strong capital base in order to be successful and to make it through to the other side, which is profitability. So that's really important. The second base is your legal base. Again, something that is necessary when you start your company to have the proper legal ground for who you are and where you're going to go, and all of those structures and people like Martin Pringle that help support you in that way get you where you want to go. The third wheel is your wheel of vendors, the people that supply you with your raw products, your things that you need to produce what you do. Now, if you notice the first thing about the 3 wheels, that they're all what we would call outsourced providers. They're basically people that you hire on a contract basis to provide those things to you. The fourth wheel, though, the one that Bob's in, is the wheel of employment. And unfortunately, for many, many years, that was something Bob and most entrepreneurs have to do themselves. And what does that wheel involvement? What does that wheel involve? Well, it involves getting employees. If you bring a product to market and you are successful doing so, you're going to need help, and you're going to need to get help working for you. So you're going to need help finding those people, or you're going to find them yourselves, and then you're taking it on the whim that you're pretty good at hiring people, which most entrepreneurs I know aren't. So that's the first piece of the wheel of employment. Then you're going to have to pay all those employees, which now by default means that you're also going to have to be the collector for the U.S. government. And by the way, employers are coined as I got to remember this right. They are non-compensated, highly penalized tax collectors and curers of all social ills. That's how employers are viewed in the world. So that's a piece of what you're going to be doing. Then you're going to have to provide workers' compensation. Why? Because it's the law. The law says if you have employees, you have to protect them with workers' compensation insurance. Who you buy it through and how you get it, there's lots of avenues for it, but you don't have a choice of whether you have it or not. You have to have it. If you're going to be a good employer and want to compete with other employers in the marketplace, you're going to have to offer benefits. Health insurance, dental insurance, 401k, all of those things. And again, Bob's still in the center of the wheel having to manage all of these functions. And if you're an employer, you're now going to be subject to all kinds of rules and regulations that federal and state government have imposed upon employers. That is their responsibility. They have no choice. Well, our model, the Syndeo model, is to take Bob out of the wheel and put Syndeo in the wheel. And we work with entrepreneurs to basically take all of these responsibilities, put them on our shoulders, and support Bob in his business and put Bob where he really needs to be, which is behind the wheel of the car, hopefully smiling as he's driving down the road. That's in essence why we're here, to tell entrepreneurs this is the one wheel that you're going to be obligated to fulfill, that you can get help on now, because until Syndeo came to the market 12 years ago, that nobody did what we do here in this marketplace. And frankly, nobody has since. So not that we have a corner on the market, but entrepreneurs need to know that they have an outlet for helping them with all of their employer responsibilities. That's it. I did it in less than 6 minutes. So, any questions?
Well, Bill, thank you very much for the presentation. You know, I think it's something that we all need to do. It's human capital is a key challenge for a lot of employers. And Jake right here with the mic is going to be doing the Q&A. So if you have a question, please raise your hand, and he will be coming to meet you with the mic. So without further ado.
First, Bill, I need to thank you for your support of E2E. Bill stepped up and decided to support us long before I even got here, and it was really refreshing to know, because Bill is the only PEO in town, which sort of leads me into my question. The value prop is great. How come it's not more widely known? Not just in town, but all over the Midwest.
Well, it's interesting that this is a very widely used concept on the coast. California, Florida, Texas, New York. And as is always the case, we're always the last in the middle part of the country to find out the good and the bad. The bad usually doesn't make it here, but the good takes a little bit longer. It's a very intensive focused service that requires a lot of expertise, and frankly is very capital intensive to invest in. So when companies are looking for new markets, they've already been down the road in Florida, Texas, of laying groundwork, and now they're going to markets where the groundwork might not be as well laid, but it's taking 30 years to get there. I can't tell you why there aren't more, other than that it's capital intensive and you got to have a lot of expertise, and usually that's a deterrent for a lot of people getting in the business.
Bill, Jeff Turner, when does it make sense to shift from contracted service, if you will, for virtually everything for an entrepreneur, including skilled labor, to a model where they're actually employees?
You know, that's different for each section that you're talking about. I have clients as few as 5 employees and as many as 1,200. And I actually had the conversation last fall with my 1,200 employee group over cocktails, that how big do we need to be before we don't need you anymore? And frankly, they'd done the cost analysis and I'd done the cost analysis, and they needed to be twice their size before it made sense for them to bring it in-house. Because you got to remember, what we bring to the table is not an HR person. We bring an HR system, an HR team, and an HR business to the table that you can't get with one person. You get lots of people. You get a benefits department, a payroll department, a workers' compensation and risk management department, and an HR department that has multiple people within it, all for the price usually of less than one person. So it makes a lot of sense for a lot of businesses as they're looking to invest. I just talked this morning with my sales rep about, I saw an ad for an HR generalist for a company, and that company is in the medical field. The ad was put out by the HR manager. Well, I happen to know the medical office, and it has 100 employees, and they were going to have 2 HR people for 100 employees. That's really inefficient from a dollar standpoint. And so we're going to talk to them about, have you looked at the outsourcing model? Because for half the money, we can bring more services than you're getting yourself. Plus, we bring all the systems. And what's really important is we bring the liability transfer. It's our liability to manage all of these functions. So when you pay the taxes to us, you're done. You don't have to pay the government. We do. And if we don't pay it in time, we pay the penalties. If we don't pay it at all, we go to jail. Those are the issues that come into the small business. And again, it really gets back to the focus of the business. How are you spending your time and your energy? If you're spending it on my wheel, guess what? It's a flat tire, because my wheel doesn't produce any revenue or income for your business. My wheel just costs. But the analysis needs to be, how much are you going to have to invest in infrastructure to get to where what I provide? And when that tipping point is there, then it makes sense, and that's different for every company.
So that kind of leads to my question. What is your compensation model? How do you get paid?
We charge a fee for providing services. We have a lot of different models that we work in. John mentioned the PEO model. That's actually called co-employment, where I actually become the employer of all the employees for the purposes of employer responsibilities. The business owner runs the business, I run the employer responsibilities. But that's not right for everybody. We also have different models that do the same services. We charge a fee per check, and it basically is based on the services that we provide. But as an example, if you have a 25-person employee group, our fee is typically going to run about $25,000 a year, which is about 1/3 of the cost of one HR person.
Jeff Roskam, I think you just covered part of what I was going to ask with regard to liability and employee relations, hire, fire, that kind of thing.
Right.
How does that work?
Well, the HR department is there to assist our clients. We have the right in our PEO model, the right to hire and fire, but we acquiesce that right to the business owner as it pertains to running his business. And what that really means is that if you've got an employee conflict, if you've got an area of risk and liability with an employee, we're going to advise you on what you need to do. And usually it's good to listen to our advice because we've been down this road 1,000 times, but you're free to not take our advice too. In the liability model, where I'm a co-employer with you, it may come down to where I say you need to fire that employee or let us fire that employee, or you need to fire me because I'm not going to take the liability if you choose to keep it. And usually that's never been the case where they fired us, because if it's that strong a language, they usually listen, simply because that's our job. I mean, HR is all we do. My 3-year experienced HR people have the equivalent of experience of any HR person with 10 to 15 years. Why? Because HR is all we do. Every day, we have over 200 clients, represent over 5,000 employees. There really isn't hardly anything we haven't seen already and that haven't already dealt with on a weekly basis. Does that answer your question?
Blake Basinger with SCORE. Now, I'm wondering if you do the pre-employment screening or testing and screen through, you do that?
Well, yeah. We provide access. We use a third party for that, but we do that on a cost pass-through basis. And it's driven by the client whether they want to do it or not, but typically if they're forward-thinking and really care about the culture that they have, background screening is a very important piece of that. The staffing piece is a separate model that we utilize within what we do, but it's recruiting and for a fit is so important. Finding people is one thing, finding the right people is another, and we have a lot of resources that we utilize to help identify what those right people look like.
I have a question up here. How has healthcare reform changed your business model?
4 years ago when healthcare reform, or 5 years when it was passed, I went to my partners and said, we may be looking at the biggest opportunity Syndeo's ever had in our lives. I believed that it was a tipping point for small businesses to say, I've had enough with government regulation, get me out of that business. And so we've actually expanded. We've gone from 17 to 42 employees in the last 3 years. We've opened a Kansas City office. The key is that when they passed it, Nancy Pelosi said it's a 1,000-page document. We don't know what's in it, but we'll figure it out once we pass it. And the bottom line is there's a lot of stuff in there that affects everybody. The real side benefit for us is we thought that we would be really catering to 50-plus businesses that were going to be faced with compliance issues and have new reporting things, which just happened in January. What we found is there's now the marketplace has responded. The health insurance industry has responded by saying if you're less than 50, we're just not going to really cater to you anymore. We're going to send you to the marketplace. Everybody's going to be age banded, rate banded that way. You're not going to have group benefits per se like we had with larger groups. And what that's created in the PEO model, where everybody's under my tax ID number, that means that we get to offer our benefits, and I am over 50 employees. And we're seeing that sector of our business probably grow more rapidly than the larger, which was a kind of a surprise for me. But that's been the biggest side benefit or cost of the ACA.
Hi, I have a quick question. You talked about it a little bit, but what is your capacity and how many clients are you able to take on, and typically how big are their companies?
The capacity is that I'm very scalable, meaning that I have departments now that work within their own world. It used to, when I was 17 employees, people crossed over departments. Now they're within their own departments, and there's multiple people within those. So becoming scalable was what I saw 3 years ago to create more infrastructure. So when we had so many more clients, then that means we had one more payroll person. And then when we had so many more clients, we had another HR person or another benefits person. So we've created our own scalability. The typical client size for us is about 50 to 70 employees. But again, we go down to as low as 5 and as many as there are. We don't really have an upper limit. But we are scalable, and we're always looking 6 months in advance. Fortunately for us, the sales cycle, when somebody says yes to when they actually become a client, is usually 90 days. So for us, that it gives us time to get ramped up if it's going to push our capacity.
It's been projected that by 2020, there's going to be 10 open positions for every one qualified technical, software developer, hardware engineer, IT services, that kind of thing, position that's open. So a 10-to-1 ratio, are you looking to capitalize off that? Do you have any plans to help fill those roles?
We haven't looked at the technology world, but it's interesting you bring that statistic up because I think that that's the general world of employment in the next 10 years, is that we're going to have a shrinking workforce. I'm part of the back end of the baby boomers, which means I'm approaching retirement, God forbid, in 10 years. But that whole work sector is now going to need to be taken care of, and there are going to be less people to take care of them. And the whole economy is going to be fueled now by less. And so what we're going to see is more models that are outsourcing models where we're not having HR in-house anymore simply because there aren't enough HR people to hire. We're not going to have technology in-house. There's just not enough technology people to hire. And so the outsource providers that cater to those businesses are the ones that are going to grow, and those cottage industries that will become the way business is done in the future.
Thomas Stanley, Kansas Leadership Center. It sounds like everything's going great. You're growing. You have no problems. Why are you here? Better question, what is your biggest challenge right now as you're dealing with growth?
You know, the reason I wanted to come here after I came to my first meeting was we cater to entrepreneurs. We cater to small businesses that need help in growing. And because we're that fourth wheel that nobody knows about, a lot of times entrepreneurs get all the other three wheels taken care of because they know about them. They don't know about us, and then they find themselves in this literal plethora of fixing flat tires all day long, and they get out of driving their cars. And I wanted everybody to know that this model is available, and if you know people that are entrepreneurs that are struggling with this, now here's an option for them, which really wasn't known until we came to the marketplace. And frankly, for the first 10 years of my business, I was the only salespeople. I've got 2 other guys here that work for me now in sales, and that's because I didn't want to grow faster than I can service. We are a service model, meaning that our first goal is to take care of the clients we have. And then when we can add more, we will add more, but we will always take care of the clients we have. Our biggest challenge, in my mind, is that I now have 5 salespeople, and I see a tidal wave of business coming in the next 2 years. Literally a tidal wave. And I've spent 2 years trying to get scalable, but I got to stay ahead of that curve, and I think that's going to be my biggest challenge.
I'm curious. I don't know if it applies to any, I'm sure it does actually. Remote workers. I'm also a 14-year-old company. We have 19 people that work all over the country and 2 of them in London. Is that an issue, having workers that aren't in Wichita or Kansas City?
You know, all of my clients are in Kansas City metro area and all throughout Kansas, but I have employees in 27 states. That's basically those clients have employees in those states. So we're licensed and regulated by state in a lot of cases, and so we become compliant with all of those and go wherever the clients are. Unfortunately, on the international stage, if you have 2 employees in London, we would contract with a London provider to do there because their tax base is so different in the way that they do taxes. It's a whole other system. So rather than us trying to do it from here, we actually contract with a firm there to do that. And I have I have one international firm that I work with that has all of their resources all over the world. And so we use them for our out-of-the-country people. We're not limited on where we can go. It's just we like our clients to be near us. So our model is that we like to work with Kansas and Kansas City, Missouri-based businesses. That's who we are.
One quick question. For an entrepreneur, I think the 2 things that I'm thinking about is that they want talent development because they're planning to grow. Second thing is scalability because they're going to actually grow. And third, kind of opposite of all that, they're probably looking for a flat organization. And you're probably not it. You see me for as a flat organization because they want to do it themselves. So how do you address that with an entrepreneur?
Well, it's interesting. In the world of business, what you will learn is that you want your flat expenses to be revenue producers, And you want your variable expenses to go with the size of your business. And you want to be able to control those variable expenses. Since HR and payroll and all those things are not revenue producers, they should be a variable expense in your organization. And if they're not, then you are in essence paying for the scale of your next level in advance, whereas with an outsourced provider, you're paying as you go. So it actually works out financially a little better to be variable versus fixed. We do work with our clients on talent development, absolutely. The key is that has a lot to do with the culture of the business and how the business owner wants their workplace to be. One of the great things about talent development is that we've done a lot ourselves, and we can share our experiences with other clients to show how we've developed our talent, but it's all based on the culture of the company and who we want to be. And I think sometimes when you're a business owner, you're so concentrating on getting your product to market and becoming profitable that the culture is an afterthought. And I really believe that if you're going to set your stage for success in the future, you have to consider culture in the very beginning.
I had a quick question for you, real quick. I think it's a fantastic model, by the way. My question would be, in some of what you just answered, when you go into a client's facility and they have say 50, 100 employees, how do you continually train them for, continual improvements? I mean, do you set up certain KPI indicators or performance indicators that allow the client to understand, man, this was the best move ever, we're getting more efficient, our costs are going down?
You're covering two different areas, first of all. Employee development from an employment standpoint is one area. Becoming more efficient as a business, lean operation, things of that nature, those are really business type of things rather than HR type of things. A lot of times I look at HR departments in a lot of companies, it's the big dumping ground of things that managers don't want to do. And one of those is employee development, because it doesn't have anything, they don't have any training for it, no experience, so they look to HR to take care of it. Really, those areas are best left to the consultants that work well in that arena, which is not an employment issue, it's a business development issue, making your employees better. Now, we can provide some training to the managers to help them be better managers. But when you're talking about your business specifically, how to become more efficient, how to get better return on your investment with your employees, that's more of a business model issue than it is an HR issue, in my work.
Well, with that, the last question we have is, what does we at Wichita Community do for you?
Tell all the entrepreneurs you know that there is an option for them now to get out of the wheel and get behind the wheel, so that everybody knows that this option is available. That's really my whole intent and purpose. It's why I'm involved with John and E2E, why we do things with different charities in town. We want everybody to know this model is available. It is not something that is growing very fast in Wichita. I'm growing as fast as I can, but I'm one guy. And as I tell everybody in the country that does this with me, that I'm like Daniel Boone out here, just chopping down forests, trying to clear some ground so everybody knows what we do. But that's the biggest favor you could do us, is just spread the word that this option is available. And if it makes sense, it makes sense. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But at the end of the day, that's really all we're looking for.
Thank you very much.
You're
With
welcome.
that,
Hopping Gnome is our next speaker. They could not bring us beer. I know it's, I don't know. I don't know why, but it's the truth of the matter. So I'm going to get out of the way and let them put their presentation up here. And thank you very much.
I was going to say that.
I've been known to steal jokes.
Still my joke. Okay, can everyone hear me? Yes. All right. Well, my name is Stacy Ward Latin.
And I'm Tori Latin.
And we're Hopping Gnome Brewing Company. We're here today to tell you a little bit about who we are. We get a lot of questions. We are a microbrewery and a tap room. A lot of people ask us if we have a restaurant, what do we do? People literally come into our tap room and they're like, what is this place? So that's really what we're here for today, is to tell you what we do, who we are, and a little bit about us. So Hopping Gnome Brewing is a local keg distributing. We serve pints in our tap room. We fill growlers. And like I said, we also distribute to a lot of local bars and restaurants across town. So our mission is not only to brew quality craft beer here locally, but also to promote the buy local movement. It's a big passion of ours to promote all the local businesses. So we're also here today to talk to you guys about that. And I know a lot of you already support your local businesses, but to continue to do that by supporting everyone, we all succeed when we're all doing well. So we opened in May 2015, and so we're coming up on our 1-year anniversary. And like I mentioned, we also distribute, and that's something that we're really starting and pushing for kind of our year 2 is to really distribute across Wichita. But for our first year, our goal was really to create an atmosphere in our tap room, invite people to our tap room to have a beer. We do not serve food. We have free popcorn available, but we partner a lot with food trucks, or you can bring food in, order food in, and just hang out and have a good time. We do a lot of events. We have a lot of live music and kind of outside the box, I guess, events. We also have a video game. That's something different that you won't find anywhere else. We have a Hopping Gnome video game that's created by a local creative group here called Quick Draw Studios. So this guy back here can tell you all about that. So yeah, so we like to do a lot of different things and just create atmosphere. A lot of our regulars tell us that it's really comfortable. They enjoy just coming and talking with friends, and it's like hanging out at their friend's house. So how you can learn about us, we have a website. We also do some other marketing. We partner with CAMUW, Visit Wichita, things like that. But we all know the quickest and easiest way to reach people is through social media. So we put all of our events on Facebook. We use all 3 social media outlets. So that's how you can learn all about us. And what we need from you guys, the community, is to like and share us on social media. We got a lot of, we actually did a Kickstarter campaign when we started. We raised $25,000 to help start our business, and that was kind of our initial way to get likes and shares and to build that momentum. And everybody says after that first year, that momentum starts to go down. So as we come up on our 1-year anniversary, we want to keep that momentum going. So we ask that you like and share us on social media, spread the word. A lot of times we ask people how they hear about us. It's usually word of mouth. It just seems to be the most effective form of marketing. And definitely continue to support your local businesses in the community. So here is what our page looks like. You can get out your phones and like us right now. We'll give you a sticker. We have those available. I'm going to do a quick plug. Like we said, we are located in the Douglas Design District. We're just 3 doors down from the donut hole at Douglas and Hydraulic is where we are at. We're open Thursday through Sunday. So we chose to go to the Douglas Design District. That's where you'll find a lot of great local businesses like The Anchor and Ziggy's Pizza and Reverie Coffee Roasters. And we wanted to join the district because it's kind of the next up-and-coming neighborhood. We're getting ready to do a big event April 29th and 30th called Avenue Art Days. And that's where you might have noticed last fall we have been painting murals between Washington and Hydraulic. This next phase is Hydraulic to Grove, so that's where Hopping Gnome is also included in that. And so you'll see artists painting murals, volunteers painting the light poles, and just lots of fun, excitement, local help and beautification of the neighborhood happening. So we are also doing a crowdfunding campaign for this to help with supplies and food and things for the volunteers. So there's 1 day left. It actually ends tomorrow. So I have more information about that at the end, or if you guys have questions about how to donate to our generosity campaign. Okay, so that's really kind of all I had on that. I want everyone to just, I guess the call to action is everybody to come and see us, spread the word, like us, and share us. I wanted to talk a little bit more about some of our collaborations. Obviously, we're really involved with the Douglas Design District. We're also really involved with other local businesses. I don't know if you want to talk about that.
Sure.
Sorry. Do all the talking.
We try and involve as many people in town as possible. So this winter we did a coffee stout. We used the Donut Hole's house blend, which is roasted by the Spice Merchant. So it was 3 businesses came together for 1 beer. It was one of our most popular beers we had this year. We also are tapping a beer this week. It's called the Roller Girl Rye PA. So we teamed up with the ICT Roller Girls here in Wichita. So they will actually be out Friday setting up a little booth to tell everybody about what they do, their team. They'll be selling merchandise, and they'll be on skates. So that'll be something different for our tap room. So we just like to involve as many people as possible in our business.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, we're going to open it up to questions. I mean, I feel like you could have brought samples, but that's just an entrepreneurial spirit. But any questions? Jake will have the mic.
Yeah, I'll actually open up the first question. You talked about the Kickstarter. Tell us about the good, the bad, and the ugly with that.
It got us out, and people knew about us. The bad is if we didn't get funded, we didn't get any of the money. So it was all or nothing, which we were fully funded, which was great. We actually went above our goal, which was fantastic. The only bad thing, I guess bad thing, is we had a lot of things that we did for the giveaways. So between the two of us, we made a lot of boxes and shipped them all over the place. So that was a little stressful, making sure our glass growlers and glasses didn't break, because the thing with Kickstarter is it's worldwide. So we sent them, to Boston, Washington, Virginia. I mean, they were all over the country. So that was interesting, but a lot of our support was within Kansas, and a lot was within Wichita, which was really good to see. So.
So are you guys making a living yet?
Yes, I live on beer.
He's there full time. So in the brew house every day. I guess I didn't say that. Tori brews the beer.
Yes.
And everything that goes with that. So we're getting there.
So what restaurants are you guys in right now currently?
It depends on the week. Right now we have limited supply, so we're in about 8 to 10 different restaurants. We've been in all 3 old Chicago's, both Bricktown breweries, the Anchor, Ziggy's, Picasso's, Dempsey's, Red Rock Canyon Grill. I know I'm forgetting some.
The Pale Ales at the Monarch.
Yeah, the Monarch. East Warren, yep. Taste and See, and Gianni Bacchi's.
So tell me more about the business itself. I mean, what are your streams of revenue that you were talking about? Is it just people coming in and buying beer? I mean, what else are you selling? Are you selling merchandise?
Yes.
Are you selling these T-shirts? Are you selling mugs? What are you selling?
Yes, it is. Revenue sales are from pint sales, as well as merchandise, and then keg sales. So with our keg sales, we go through House of Schwan, our local distributor, which then they sell to bars and restaurants around the Wichita area. So those are our 3 main sources of revenue.
Are you shipping international?
No, we are just within, House of Schwan covers 4 counties within the state of Kansas. If we wanted to go larger in the state of Kansas, we would have to pick up a different distributor. As well, if we wanted to go outside of Kansas, we would have to adhere to their liquor laws as well. So if we went to Colorado, we would have to figure out their liquor laws to get our beer into their state. Each state is different in their liquor laws.
With the other resurgence of the other brewing companies here locally, what would you guys say your strategic differentiator is?
I would say our atmosphere, we are focused on the beer. So we don't have food, so our overhead is a little bit lower on that end. If you ever come in, we're very friendly. We sit down with you and ask you how you are before we even take your order, which I think might throw some people off, which is good. It's definitely something that they remember. But as far as the other breweries coming in, they are competition, but it's not McDonald's versus Burger King. It's not Pepsi, Coke. It's all of us working together. We know all the owners, all the brewers. A lot of their staff we know on a personal basis, and that's great for us because if I run out of a grain or I have a question, I have a resource to call, and they're always ready to answer and come down and help out if I need them to. So basically, we're all together to get you off of Bud Light. So the more of us there are, the more experience people can get trying different styles. I mean, there are over 30 different beer styles in the world. So if we can get more people to drink different types of beer, it'll just open up the industry for everybody.
So Boulevard started in like 1993 with just one guy in a back of a wood shop. How soon before you guys are going to be worldwide? Is that something you're even looking at?
We need to sit down and do our 5-year projections, but I don't think we're that close yet.
So I've heard about this video game. Do you have plans to bring it to, I haven't been in to play it though. I need to come in and do that. Do you have plans to bring it to like an app or anything like that? I see a potential for an additional revenue stream there, and you just winked, so I'm guessing there is plans for that.
Yeah, in the future. Yeah, like I said, it's always on at in our tap room. It's a 4-person player game. There's 2 different levels. It's a great way to have a beer and support another local company, which Nikki G is here from Quick Draw Studios. So if you have any questions, talk to him. But it's a really fun game. It's just gnomes, and you basically jump on each other to score points. And it's a really fun game, real easy. Anybody can pick it up and play it. It's basically the directional pad and 2 buttons. So we've gotten a lot of good feedback on that. We've had it in our tap room for about 2 weeks now. So if you follow us on social media, we're going to try and do a tournament. So kind of like a March Madness tournament where we get a big bracket going, and the winner ends up, I don't know what the grand prize is yet, but kegs. Yeah. But yeah, definitely follow us on social media to see our new advancements in that.
Oh, wait.
The name, well, we had a couple names picked out, and so we hopped on the United States Patent and Trade Office website to make sure we weren't infringing on somebody else, because that would be a death blow to a startup, is to get sued right out the door. So we want to make sure that we weren't going to do that. The names that we came up with were already taken or too close to something that was already out there. So we looked for about 2 hours, and kind of in frustration, I took a break and had a beer, surprisingly, and it was an IPA that I brewed. So I was drinking that, and we had a little gnome on our bar from a Royals giveaway, and it was for their All-Star game back in 2012, and it was my one light bulb moment, I think. It was, drinking a hoppy beer. Gnomes are known for drinking in folklore. How about hopping gnome? Ran upstairs and told Stacy. I was like, how about hopping gnome? And she's like, It wasn't, because we are now, but at that time we were not gnome people. So so she's like, I don't know, that's a little weird. But then we really thought about it, and then we actually used a local graphic artist here in town, Chris Parks. You would know, he did the Anchor sign and Fork and Fennel and the Chop Shop and Devlin Hot Rod, and he has the ICT or the Riverfest button this year. So we called him and talked to him, and he asked us what we were looking for, and I said, we just need 2 things, and I said it had to have a gnome and he has to be hopping. And he said, what about colors? And I said, it has to have a gnome and it has to be hopping. And he came back a month later with 2 designs, and the design that we went with, we loved immediately. And so we sent it to our friends and family, and we said, we've decided which one we like, but we want to know your opinion, and all of them came back with the same one that we picked. So we figured out of 12 people that we sent it to, is a pretty good determining factor. So, and we do sell the shirts in our tap room, as well as glasses, stickers, coasters.
Well, you guys already answered the question, but what can we as a community do for you guys?
Just continue to like and share us on Facebook, word of mouth, come in and see us. It's just crucial. Really, we decided to do this presentation. My initial thought was, well, we're not a new startup. This would have been nice a year ago, by the way. We're not a new startup, but we are new, and a lot of people still don't know we exist. So we really came here today to let you know who we are, what we do, and hope that you will pass that on and that we see you soon for a beer.
Got some swag up here too, right?
We do. We have some stickers. You gotta like us, and you get a sticker. We also have a sign up for our e-newsletter if you're interested. We do that monthly. We have some information about the Avenue Art Days coming up, and a donation for that. So.
Thank you. I'm right next to you. So. Well, thank you everybody for coming again. I think your hours of operation are.
Thursday through Sunday.
Thursday through Sunday, 3 o'clock to midnight?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll meet everybody tomorrow at 3 o'clock at the Hopping Gnome. First round is on Kenton. Thank you again. Stay tuned for announcements on a location change, and apply if you haven't applied. I know we tell you over and over, but please apply. We want more awesome entrepreneurs and support our local community. Go to Avenue Art Days and all the local stuff. So thank you again, and we'll see you soon.